on all of this, Democratic Congressman André Carson of Indiana is joining us. He's a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Wolf.
So, the White House today said flatly that the president will not try to invoke what's called executive privilege to block former FBI Director James Comey from testifying on Thursday. What's your reaction? What was your reaction when you heard this from the White House?
Well, I think it's smart. I think that the White House is already under great suspicion. I think at least half of the country, if not more, I would assert more, they're already disappointed in President Trump. They're already disappointed in this administration. And I think any attempt to block Director Comey from speaking would further add to the flames of discontent that we're seeing amongst constituents and the American people.
Let's get to some other issues. The London mayor, Sadiq Khan, as you know, he said Londoners should not be alarmed by the heightened presence of police on the streets of London following the latest terror attack. And in response, the president tweeted this: pathetic excuse by London Mayor Sadiq Khan, who had to think fast on his, quote, no reason to be alarmed, close quote, statement. Mainstream media, MSM, is working hard to sell it. Why do you think the president is saying this about the mayor of London only, 2 days after the terror attack in that city?
Who knows what's in President Trump's head? What I will say is that kudos to Mayor Khan for stepping up and presenting himself to be a great leader during these perilous times. I think he represents all that is great about the Muslim community. To have a Muslim mayor of a major international city step up and speak out against terrorism is commendable. And I think that President Trump should really think twice about attacking a mayor from a foreign nation during these times when we should be working together cooperatively with our intelligence services and other intelligence services, our law enforcement apparatus and theirs as well, to get to the bottom of unearthing potential terrorists in the future. And I think for President Trump's impulsivity to be on full display, to me, I question the strength of his handlers in reeling him back, because he's certainly embarrassing all of us at this point. And I think President Trump knows better.
Yeah, by the way, the U.S. ambassador, the acting U.S. ambassador in London, tweeted a positive tweet about the mayor. As you know, the president's also been tweeting about the travel ban. He tweeted this: the Justice Department should have stayed with the original travel ban, not the watered-down, politically correct version they submitted to the Supreme Court. He's now officially calling it a travel ban, even though the White House earlier said it wasn't a travel ban. He's calling for a tougher version. He's pegging these needs to the London attack, but he signed this revised version as an executive order. It's his Justice Department that's making the appeal before the U.S. Supreme Court. He's undermining that appeal, criticizing his own Justice Department and his own executive order, the revised version. Why do you see that happening?
Well, he's undermining the process. He undermines his staff. He undermines his close advisors. He's undermining America. This is who he is. And I think unless we're paying close attention, I think he will continue undermining even himself. He's already done so. Wolf, these are very serious times. Thankfully, the founding fathers, as complicated as they were, as complicated as we all are, were very brilliant in instituting 3 separate but equal branches of government, because they had the insight and the foresight to not want to have someone like a Trump come in and attempt to be a dictator. There are checks and balances. But the fact that he has not given himself the time to be studied in these matters, to show any kind of discipline. I think that his administration is in disarray. I think that he's out of control. He has become the emperor with no clothes.
Quick question about your district in Indiana. I think it's in Indianapolis. You're one of 2 Muslim members of the United States Congress. Are you facing any hatred, anything along those lines, in the aftermath of what's been going on over these past several weeks and months?
I'm glad that you asked. Well, there's a billboard as we speak off of one of our major highways that is disrespectful toward Muslims. It says very, very vile things against Prophet Muhammad and Islam, and it is a precursor to a planned anti-Muslim march that is to take place around the same time as the Pride Parade. And so I think what makes me even more concerned about President Trump's rhetoric is that he has fanned the flames of Islamophobia in our country in a time where we need more Muslims to participate in the political process, where we need more Muslims and we need to highlight the Muslims who are in our law enforcement communities, keeping America safe and protecting us from stories that we'll never hear about in the news. And I think for this environment to exist and for the polarization that has been caused, the deepening of the wedge in our country, led by President Trump, I think it's time for the American people, whether Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Independent, to stand up and say, we want our country back in a very real sense.
Well, very quickly, that ugly anti-Muslim billboard in your district, do you think it's there because you're the representative of that district?
Who knows? I mean, I received death threats quite often. But at the same time, I have Trump supporters who vote for André Carson. So, but it does say that we're living in a time where I just had a great conversation with the local rabbi, Rabbi Sandy Sasso, and her husband, Rabbi Dennis Sasso. And we've been talking about expanding this effort that's already taking place of bringing the Jewish community together with Muslims and Christians and Sikhs, even non-theists and Buddhists, to come together and say enough is enough. I spoke at an LGBT church, Wolf, just this Sunday, and there were representatives from different religions there saying we want to unify in the wake of the terror that exists in London. We want to unify in the midst of all that is taking place in the name of religion and say we stand together as a global community to fight for justice and peace.
Well, good luck with that effort, Congressman. I need you to stand by. There's more we have to discuss. New information coming in on the terror attack in London. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. I go back to Representative André Carson of Indiana, member of the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, do you believe these attackers had direct ties to ISIS? Was this attack, in other words, ordered and organized by ISIS, or was it inspired if it was by ISIS?
I can't speak to that at this point, but what I will say, ISIS is a poison along with other extremist groups who cloak their evil intentions in the language of religion. They purport to be Muslim, and I think in a very real sense, it is time that we work with our global partners. And I know that President Obama's CVE efforts or countering violent extremism efforts were controversial, but I think that they had great value in terms of working with the law enforcement community, working with the faith community, working with congregants, and essentially saying if you see something, say something. And it's hard to monitor if you're going about your life meeting your particular obligation to monitor people. But at the same time, given we're in the midst of budgetary cuts for law enforcement agencies, we really need citizens of goodwill to come together and help law enforcement. A
good point indeed. I'm sure we're going to be learning a lot more about this terror incident in London in the coming days. Congressman Carson, thanks very much for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.